Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Awakening to Your Story TV, the place to learn, get inspired, and be supported with heart centered solutions for your everyday life. I am Alicia Hartzell, and today we are going to talk about hate. A couple weeks ago, we talked about hate and what to do when someone hates you. And today we're going to talk about hate and what to do when you hate someone. Now, as always, this video is linked to a blog on awakeningtoyourstory.com, and you'll be able to find that in the description of this video. I am going to, after I kind of talk about hate and the two sides of hate and the power that we have to go from one side to the other, I'm going to share a very personal story that I've never shared publicly before. And I want you to know that I wrote it out for the blog, and I'm never quite sure if my writing is going to be as good as the video. So know that you can find a deeper part of that story over on the blog. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what I know about hate from the inside out because I have been there. Here's the thing. Hate can feel really validating. It can almost feel as if it's correcting something for you or within you. And when you hate someone, it almost allows you to feel like you're in the right somehow. And it keeps them separated from you because they're in the wrong. And it gets really tricky because the problem with this is that when you hold on to hating them, when you hold on to that hate, you are keeping yourself tethered to them. They start to take up more and more room in your consciousness, in your mind, and in your being. And I want you to know that you have the power to shift that if you want to. But I also want you to know that it's okay if that's where you are. If you feel a deep hatred and you are carrying that and it starts to feel like a weight, I want you to have the ability to move from that validating side of hate that keeps you tied to them to another side of hate that actually helps you heal. So let's talk about emotion for a second because hate is on the spectrum of emotion. And I'm a firm believer that emotion is super powerful. All of the emotions are tools to help you navigate on the river of your life, right? Now, positive emotions help you tell when things are going well. They help you really understand when you're in your own alignment and you are moving at a cadence with your life that feels really good to you, right? When things are going right and well and you feel like you could do anything. Those huge range of emotions on the positive side. And those are tools to help you know how to keep going on in that way and what is good and what feels really powerful to you, right? Now, the negative spectrum of emotion is just as powerful. It is designed to help you see when things are off, to show you where things are going wrong, or they help you keep you physically, mentally, emotionally safe, right? They are designed to be indicators to help you navigate back to a place that feels better. That's what they are. All of the emotions are designed to be tools to help you. Now, the problem with negative emotion is that so often we don't really understand that the emotions are tools. We instead take direction from them. If we feel something, we don't understand that it is a beautiful part of our brain chemistry and our emotions that are helping us figure out where we are on the path of our life. Instead, we listen to them and we take direction from them. And if they're negative, then we feel the weight of it. And we allow those emotions to just turn within us and spiral us down into a place where we feel like we are in despair. But if you use those emotions for the tool that they are, then you have the power to start to get curious about why they're there. What can you do to shift and get back to a place that feels better? Is there work to be done? Emotional work, mental work, physical work in our space, right? So when you are feeling hate for someone and you don't really like it, you don't want it, it feels like a weight, the first thing you want to do is use it as a tool. You don't have to take direction from it anymore. Use it as a tool. And one of the best ways to use it as a tool is to start to allow an inner dialogue to happen, right? So you start to think, okay, what is it about the other person or about the situation that I hate that is off-putting to me, right? What is the hate trying to tell me? Does the hate feel like it's protecting me in some way? And if it is, then can I figure out how to protect myself? Will it help me become a better person or a better version of myself? Is this hate trying to show me something that I need to evolve for me? What about this hate is really the loudest? What about this hate can I identify with for me? If I stop looking out there at them, what can I identify for me? Am I feeling this kind of hate because I disapprove of something or something that they're doing is misaligned with me fundamentally? Right? Just stay curious and remember that no matter what, your emotions are valid. What you're feeling is valid. Where you are in the moment is valid. And you have the power to, rather than take direction from the hate and stay linked to them, you have the power to get curious and to use the hate to help you heal for yourself, to help you figure out what the hate's trying to tell you so you can navigate to a better place in your life, right? Okay, now I'm going to get into the story, and I've broken it down. I've really only carried hate to the depths where it started to change me um, a few times in my life. And the story I'm going to tell you is about the phase in my 20s where I hated my mom. Now, this is not the kind of like adolescent, I hate my mom, off the cuff kind of hate. This is a kind of hate that started to harden me and chip away at my happiness and really began to affect me. Okay, so here's the history. My mom was one of a revolving door of parental people who would come into my life. And she was the constant. She was the only constant in our home. And she was supposed to protect me. She was supposed to keep me safe. That's what parents do, right? Well, when I went to her to tell her that I was being sexually abused at the hands of her husband, um, she told me to wear pajamas to bed instead of a nightgown. And that was it. She was working nights, and so we were alone in the house with him. And she went to work the next day. Like it was no big deal. And I knew from that point forward that I was on my own. Now, looking back, um, I can see that my mom was surviving in the very best way that she could, that he was also an abusive person in a lot of ways, physically, emotionally. And she had, in her survival, really met that and became that as well. And she did not have the power through that suffering to keep me safe. And she really was doing the best job that she could. And um, she fed me to the wolves, as it were. Now, you may think that that's when the hate started, but it didn't. It wasn't until a few husbands later, when I was out of the house living on my own, I had started my own healing journey, to really go through the things in my life that I had survived, that um, she decided to rewrite history. And she told me that I had never been emotionally, physically, verbally, or sexually abused. And it was in that rewriting of history for her so that she could make herself feel better about the things that she had allowed to happen and that she herself had done, that the hate really took hold of me. And here's the thing about hate that a lot of people don't talk about: hate builds momentum, and it hardens you, and it builds momentum, and it's got to have an outlet or it eats you up inside. And after that point, I really sat with the hate for a long time. And it really validated a history that she had tried to take away from me. And that hate, that connection to her and that hating her really allowed me to feel like I was taking the power back. And that's intoxicating for somebody who feels like they deserve to be hating the person because the person is wrong, right? What the person is doing is wrong, and I have the ability and the power to hate them and hold it over their head, right? So as time goes on, the hate builds, the momentum builds. I feel validated, but I'm hardening to a point where, you know, it's got to come out. And I confront her. I shatter the illusions that she had created to make herself feel better. And I was not going to leave until she validated my truth about what had happened. It was a it was a confrontation where I just ripped through the walls that she had put up, like like a person who had survived things that were really hard and then had somebody take them away. Um, and it was in that place that she buckled and she started crying, and she said, "How many times am I going to have to apologize for the things that I did in my past? Tell me, how many times am I going to have to apologize for this?" And I was like, "See, you know, you know, you know what happened. How dare you?" And I tell you what, I held that over her for so long. That hate had woven itself so deeply into my heart and my story that I held it over her. And I started to wonder, how can you think that denying that something happened is ever going to make you right with me, or with history for that matter, right? Like, how is any of that going to make you better? It's not. It doesn't fix anything. It just makes you better. So I held it over her. It was it was power. I shamed her every chance I could get, not necessarily verbally, but I made sure she knew that I knew the truth and that she couldn't take it away from me. And while it was super empowering, I had become aggressive, and I had become a person who believed or had started to think that I could hold power over someone else. And the reality is I fundamentally don't believe that you can have power over somebody else like that. I don't believe in being that aggressive. I never did. Even as a kid, I came into this world curious and soft, and I enjoy people. And it was chipping away at all of the best parts of me. Not just my own happiness, but the best parts of who I am. It was starting to slowly shift and change. Um, because I didn't know that hate was a tool. I didn't know that I could use it. I didn't know that the hate was trying to tell me something. Instead, I took direction from the hate. I followed the emotion to the endless experience, and it was changing me. And it wasn't until I went to go visit a friend who had just had a baby. It was her and I. Her husband was gone on a trip, and I don't know if it was seeing her as a mom or seeing their unit as a family. I'm not sure what the magic part of it was. Maybe it was just my higher being really calling at me. And I was in a vulnerable place because I was a mush of love for this little baby. But I had the most vivid dream that cracked that hate open for me. And it happened in the early morning. Sometimes when you wake up and then you go back to sleep and you have those vivid dreams, it was one of those dreams. And the dream was where I was on the beach and had my feet buried in the sand and I was basking in the sunshine. And I looked down and I saw these suitcases kind of around me. And the suitcases were connected to me with like crystalline cords that were really pretty in the sunshine. And if I put my hand over the cord, they almost felt comforting, right? It was almost like they were there to protect me. And as I'm sitting there watching the ocean and feeling the sunshine in my skin, I see a man coming out of the water and he's coming towards me. And I'm curious and I'm interested. And he comes up and he says, "Come and play with me in the water." And I was like, "Oh, I can't. I've got all these bags. I can't come play with you in the water." And he goes, "Come on, come and play with me. It's fun. We can go and we can run and we can dive." And he was tempting me to come and play in the water. And I wanted nothing more than to frolic in the water with him. But I didn't know how. I didn't know how. I couldn't. I was stuck. I was tethered to all of these suitcases. And he said, "Don't you know that your entire life is waiting for you? Don't you know that all the things that you are dreaming of are ready for you to have? You've got to let go of those bags. Come and play with me." And he goes off and goes back into the water. And I think for a minute, I'm like, I don't know how. And I drag the bags with me to the edge of the shore and I put my feet in the cool water and I just start crying. I want all those things and they feel so out of reach. And as I cry, those tears hit the cords and break them. And as each one breaks, I take it and I toss it into the ocean and the waves carry them off. And eventually I get to a point where I'm free. I'm free to play and to run. And I can feel the joy kind of coming back into my being. And that's when I wake up. My pillow was soaked. I must have cried in my sleep. I don't know. I I woke up, I journaled about it, I talked about it with my girlfriend, and um I kind of processed what it all meant. I mean, some of it's pretty obvious, the imagery is pretty obvious, but One of the things that had happened was as I was tossing each bag into the ocean said to me, "You have to forgive her if you really want to be free. But don't forgive her for her. Don't make it about her. None of this is about her. Forgive her for you. That's how you really let the bags, that's how you really let me take the bags out to the ocean." And so, as I was talking with my friend and processing and writing it all down, I really started to feel that achiness in my heart, but the levity there too, right? There's a freedom and an ache all at once. And getting to that place where I could let the hate become a tool helped me set myself free. It helped me unlink myself from her. Because this is why. This is what the hate was trying to tell me all along. And if I had known then what I knew after the dream, I would have saved myself so much time of suffering, right? The hate was trying to tell me not to validate my own healing, not to have her validate my own healing, right? So I had really, when I was 17, stepped in, like I said, to this place of really digging into my story and healing layer by layer and figuring out the wounds that I was carrying and trying to shift them back to my essential truth. And I'd gotten to this place where I still needed her to validate me, to validate my healing, to validate my life and my story. And that's never going to work, right? The hate was trying to tell me you're looking in the wrong place for validation. Come back home inside your own heart, inside your own story, and validate yourself. That's where the power is. That's where your true power lies, is within your own heart and story. And once I used that hate as a tool to help me figure out how to validate my own heart, my own healing, my own life for me, everything changed, right? Everything. Doesn't matter what she needs to do. It doesn't matter if she needs to rewrite history to make herself feel better. That doesn't change me. It's okay. I can see her for where she is. It's all right. I have power and strength within my heart to do what I need to do for me. And that hate taught me that. Getting to the other side of it helped me heal. And let me tell you that my relationship with my mom at this point is good. Do I always trust her? No. She is who she is, but I love her. And moving beyond that hate, moving through that hate, allowed me to let go of that cord and let her just be her so that I could be me. And it's a much easier place to navigate, let me tell you, no matter what kind of relationship you're in, right? Now, I still feel hate today. It happens. I feel hate when I see systemic racism. I feel hate when I see people's lives being taken. I feel hate with the Jeffrey Epsteins and the Weinstein. I feel hate a lot, but I use it, and I know I have the power, right? I have the power to decide how deep they get into my story. I have a choice. Do I focus on them or do I focus on what the hate is trying to tell me? The hate is trying to tell me this is off. The hate is trying to show me this is not right. History will never make this right. The only way you can make it right now is to be in alignment with what is true. So I see the hate and I use the hate to be a better advocate, to be a better listener, to support people, right, on the other side. I would much rather support the people who are doing the things that are right. They're the ones that are charging the hate, right? I have that power. And I can, from that place, I can become a better part of the solution, right? Shifting from hate, that validating side of the hate that really stimulates that fight or flight in your brain, to seeing the hate as a tool and getting conscious about it and curious about it allows that prefrontal cortex to kick in, allows you to have inspired thoughts so you can take inspired action. And you will absolutely be a better and stronger part of the solution from that place, right? Just because you come to the other side of the hate doesn't mean that what they did wasn't wrong. It means that you are choosing your story and how to be a valuable asset within yourself and to the table of humanity, right? Okay, now, no matter where you are in relationship to hate, I want you to know that it's okay. You are still worthy, you are still valuable, and you are still significant just as you are. But I want you to know you do not have to carry it forever. You have the power to take your story back. You have the power to untether yourself from their own suffering, right? Okay, so until next time, I want you to know that I am holding a place of love for you where you have the power to go to the other side of hate.